Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. What live with you? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a few weeks since I've done one. I got Gonzo done one at the weekend because I was away. He said, "Do you want me to do a live with Gonzo?" I said, "Yeah, go on." But I quite enjoy doing the match. I like to get a little bit interactive. So if you're joining me live, thank you. Get your comments into the comment section, and I'll have a little look. The big one I want to talk about today is I've seen comments by Stuart Pearce earlier. Stuart Pearce was basically saying that David Moyes only wants to bring in players that are going to go into the starting 11. He doesn't want to bring in bodies for the sake of it. He wants players that are good enough to go into the starting 11. And I have very mixed feelings on this. I'm torn. On one hand, I completely agree with David Moyes. I think that should always be the plan. When you go buy a player, your aim has to be to buy someone that's an upgrade of the player in the starting 11. So you're buying a right back, you want him better than your current right back. You want to demote Sufal to the bench. You're buying a left winger. You want him to be better than Saeed Benrahma. So on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying. So that should be the aim. But you can't always do that because we need a centre midfielder. Corner commentary, by the sounds of it, is sticking around this season. By the sounds of it, corner commentary is not being allowed to go out on loan. Moyes doesn't want him to go out on loan. He sees a part for it. He's got a place for him in the squad next season. That's great news. I encourage that. I'm happy with that. But I can't help but feel that even with commentary, Noble, Lanzini to some extent is sort of the depth. I just feel like we could do with someone else that can cover there. That's why the links to someone like Oxlade-Chamberlain made sense a little bit. But let's just say in theory, you wanted a centre midfielder. You're not going to find one better than Souček and Rice. It's just not going to happen. And if you did, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's not worth it. It's stupid for West Ham to spend that much money on someone. Why would you want to replace Souček? I think there's a balance. I think there's a way to do both, that you can buy upgrades on your players. So if he was to say, David Moyes come out and say, I want a centre-back, but he's got to be better than Craig Dawson. I agree with that. Makes sense. You want Dawson on the bench. You're looking for a striker, get one that's going to put Antonio on the bench. I agree with that as well. But there is a balance. You can do both things because you might need someone that can cover the left-back position during the season if Masuaku's out injured. You might need someone, you might even need a third striker for the squad. You might need another attacking midfielder, for example. You're happy with Bowen Fornals and Benrahma and Lanzini can cover there, but you might need someone else. So I think you can do both. I think it's possible to do both. But when he says this, when Stuart Pearce has come out and said that, and he did also say some bids have gone in for one reason or another, they've not happened. I would accept what Stuart Pearce has said at the start of the window. If Stuart Pearce came out and said this in the first week of July, said this is what David Moyes wants to do, I'd say, okay, I get that, fine. But it's not. There's less than 3 weeks to go of the transfer window. Season kicks off in 3 days' time on Sunday. The first Premier League game of the season is tomorrow evening. The season kicks off now. So given that there's not that long to go the transfer window, I think this transfer strategy, while it's admirable, and while I agree with it in most of it, I think you almost have to get ready to change it a little bit. I think you almost have to get ready to accept that you're not going to get the players that you want. That there is going to be a point where you're going to have to get bodies in because the squad is too thin. The squad will not cope with Europa League, with the Premier League. We just will not manage. We've got a smaller squad than last season with more games next season. That does not add up. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And like I said, I just think it's getting to the point where I'm getting a bit worried a little bit. I'm getting a little bit worried. And obviously the Milenkovic stuff is stalling. It sounds like it's at a standstill. We can't agree things with the agents and stuff. I sort of get that. I get why the agent would want a big payday. You know, Milenkovic is out of contract in 12 months. So if he goes on a free, the agent's making big bucks, isn't he? Because the player and the agent can say to the club, well, we'll have 10 million between us because you're not paying a fee for him. We'll have the transfer fee. I get it as an agent's perspective, but it's not helping West Ham, is it? But this is something, surely, right? Surely, this is something that was factored in prior to beginning negotiations with Milenkovic. As an experienced director of football, or whatever you want to refer him to as David Sullivan, as an experienced manager of David Moyes, an agent looking to cash in on this is not new. It's not unusual. The agent involved has apparently got previous for this as well. And this is where I get a bit frustrated that people so experienced in the game would almost allow something like this to disrupt their plans. Well, surely you plan for this. Surely this is something you've taken in consideration prior to making Milenkovic your number one centre-back target. And everything's just a bit concerning. But at a point, you do get to the point where you do think it's all a bit, for want of a better word, it's all a bit bollocks, isn't it? You do sit there and think, all right, Stuart, mate, whatever. All right, David Moyes, Sullivan, can you just get your act together? It's just, I don't know, frustrating. Anyway, I'll turn to the comments in just a second. Let's see who's in the live chat and see what you are saying. There was a good comment earlier on. Let's have a little look. Chris is saying, for the first time as a West Ham fan, he's very sick of a transfer rumour. How long does a deal have to almost be agreed? I'm on to day 6. Milenkovic is tedious as a voiceover for Big Brother. We don't help, do we? Chris, myself, and Gonzo, Charlie sitting speaking about transfer rumours, but it helps the channel, doesn't it? So we're going to do it. But I get what you're saying. The frustration, I guess, to some extent, I think what you're trying to suggest perhaps is it's not so much the transfer rumours, it's how long we take to get a deal done. And Leicester City don't help West Ham, do they? Leicester City do not help David Moyes and David Sullivan here because Fofana got injured. A week later, the announcement of Vestergaard is imminent. Like we're expecting Leicester City to announce Vestergaard. So a player got injured. 2 days later, they've identified who they want as a replacement. 2-3 days later, a deal is agreed with the club. 2 days later, the player's announced. And you think, well, they've moved swiftly. And that would suggest Leicester City knew they were going to get Vestergaard if they needed a centre-back. Now, Leicester City didn't need a centre-back, but they had some sort of plan that said, however, if something happens, this is the guy we're going for. If something's happened, we go get him. My frustration is that the players we need now, the players that we need at West Ham now in the positions we needed them a year ago. We needed a striker a year ago because Sebastian Haller, while it was like, right, fresh start, let's go, after 2 months into the season, it just wasn't going to happen. They knew in October Haller was going to have to go at some point, January or this summer, and a new striker was going to be required. They would have known Balbuena's contract had less than a season to go. Also, at that point, Craig Dawson wasn't even into the starting 11 yet. So David Moyes was unsure over his centre-back pairings. The only position we've solved this summer so far is a position we didn't even need solving until next summer, arguably. That's my frustration. My frustration is it's no surprise we need a striker. It's no surprise we need a centre-back. We've had so long to identify the players, and either we've not identified them or we're just not doing what Leicester City did, which is do adequately. Leicester makes me frustrated with West Ham a little bit more. James Gunn says it's not harder. It isn't hard to find a better midfielder than no one commentary, a better winger than Yarmolenko, a better striker than Odbeko. That should be the focus. Our bench on Sunday will be embarrassing. That's my point. I think there's a balance. That you can get a striker better than Antonio, but you can get a midfielder better than Martin Noble, but not better than Mason Souček. It doesn't have to be 10 out of 10 players every single time. You have to do a little bit of both. Lewis, Southampton sold England, snapped up Armstrong in a matter of days. Chelsea went Lukaku, completed the deal in days. Why does it take us so long to sign players? I think it's because, this is just my opinion, I think there's a bad formula. I think Moyes' hesitation, stubbornness, dithering is one thing. But when he finally does pick a player, when he says, right, that's the player I want, and that's the player I want, I think Sullivan's negotiations are poor. And there is evidence of that. Gonzo said in another video, you don't have to, I'm not telling you Sullivan's poor at negotiating. Sporting Lisbon told you Sullivan is poor at negotiating. They provided evidence of how he negotiates. They showed us the email. And if you still don't believe that, Pi Capital, whether you believe Pi Capital or not, that's another consortium now come out saying this guy's basically saying this guy's rubbish at negotiating. He's moving the goalposts and stuff. It's just a little bit frustrating. Let's keep taking your comments, but before we do, keep getting your comments in. Any questions, get them in. Any comments, get them in as well. I'm reading the live chat. Thank you. Drop a like on it while you're here. Subscribe to the channel. I got a new T-shirt. Do you like this? Let me try and move the camera. There you go. How about that? I've got I think the kids call it a haul. You know when you go shopping and you buy a bag of clothes or whatever? I think the kids these days say shopping haul. Hammer's Chat got one today. I got the delivery of some clothes. New polo shirts. Look at that. Look at those bad boys. Hammer's Chat logo in the net. There's the cross hammers. Just a polo shirt. You'll never guess what the inspiration for that is from, will you? You'll never guess where we've been inspired. So that's the polo shirts. But these t-shirts, right? Canning Town Line done this design. We came up with the idea. Said Canning Town Line, create that. You create it. We've been selling it as a mug. We're transferring it over to t-shirts now. So, but we didn't know what colors. So we've ordered 10 colors to have a look at them. So these colors have been rejected. These colors. So the blue and it's like an off-white color. So we're not making them. So we're going to give them away. We're not selling them. We're giving them away. Details how soon to come. The size large only, by the way. Everything's size large. So we can have a look at them. They'll be coming out on the shop soon. But also, Patreon time. I need to promote the Patreon, right? Just give me 2 minutes. Then I'll get back to West Ham. And if you go to patreon.com/hammerschat, links in description. The reason is the season is just around the corner, which means loads of content on Patreon at the minute. So if you go to patreon.com/hammerschat, you can sign up and support the channel from £3.60 per month. And it helps us a lot. Myself and Gonzo are doing this as our jobs at the minute, and we can't do it without people's support. So massive thank you. But if you join Patreon, what we're doing now is we're giving you immediate discount for the online store. So if you sign up to the supporters, you get 10% off. Mild Addicts 20%, and the Addicts, the top tier, you get 30% off. Immediate discount. So if you go to buy something from an online store, you're probably going to save money joining Patreon using your discount code, and then you get content as well. So a massive thank you to everybody who's joined Patreon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please check out. Just have a little look and support the channel if you can. Massively appreciated. OC, my question is this: what's Sullivan's ambition? 73 years old soon. The likelihood of playing better football in Europe while he's in charge is low. Surely he knows this. I think that's a fair point. I've seen Anthony. I quite like Anthony. I've seen Anthony on Twitter said, if I'm going to sell my house, I'm not going to do it up, or something along those lines. Made a good point. I made a good point. Irish Tommy says, do you think one possible upside back signs would be the youngsters who would otherwise be able to get a chance? Do you know something, Tommy? I'm not convinced. If Antonio wasn't fit for the weekend, he won't start Odbeko. He'll start Bowen, and if you can't start Bowen, he'll start Yarmolenko. If Rice or Souček wasn't fit, he would start Noble. And I think that's what we will see. I think we would see sort of square pegs and round holes age 27 rather than a youngster in his natural position. To some extent, we will see youngsters. I think Conor Comche is the one that you can see getting into the first team a bit more next season. But I think he's behind Mark Noble in the pecking order, and I'd suggest he's probably behind Lanzini as well. I think he's probably our fifth choice centre midfielders. And you don't often need your fifth choice centre midfield, do you? So even though I can see Conor Comche getting into the first team, I think his appearances will be few and far between. I think they'll be limited. Start off with the League Cup, maybe some sub appearances here and there. I do think this is a Premier League frustration. They've announced that they're keeping the 9 substitutes for next season. It would have been nice to have seen them introduce a rule that among those 9 subs, at least 2 or 3 have to be either A, under 21 years old, or B, from your academy. Not just, it's almost to prevent someone like Man City buying your good 17 and 18-year-old. It has to be from your academy. I think that a rule like that in place would have been beneficial. So essentially you get your 7 as normal, but the additional 2 has to be youngsters or something. And it might have just, even if they didn't get on the pitch, just having them around the first team and stuff like that, I think it would massively benefit them, really. So I do think the Premier League missed a little bit of a trick there. It was a bit frustrating. I would have liked to see more. Anton says, just imagine a combination of Sullivan and Moyes, a tight wad and a ditherer, can't get anything done. I think stuff will get done. That's what I will say. I do think stuff will get done, but is it going to be enough? I'm not so sure. I am not so sure. I think it's going to be going to the wire, as they call it. I think we will be involved in transfer deadline day once again. West Ham, I'd imagine Sullivan will go into not panic mode. I do think the one thing I will say with Sullivan, he likes signing players, Sullivan. You might always like them, might come from South America, you never heard of them, we'll never see them. But I do think Sullivan does like signing players. And if it gets to transfer deadline day and we've not done anything or Moyes hasn't picked anyone, I do think Sullivan will intervene and bring in someone. And it might not be a transfer we just like. I've got a feeling that is the Ben Rama situation. I'm not sure Moyes was ever convinced by Ben Rama, and he got to the end of the window, and Sullivan thought, "Well, I'm taking Ben Rama. If you won't pick someone, or you don't want someone, or we can't get who you want, I'm going to go and get Saeed Ben Rama." So someone comes in, and you're going to have to make it work. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Sullivan overrule Moyes towards the end of the window if he has to, because while he might be tight and he might be poor at negotiations, I think he enjoys negotiations. I think he enjoys playing Football Manager a little bit too much. But I'd imagine we will get players in. Just laughing at Mark's comments, they may as well cut our bench in half. We don't need room for 9. We're definitely going to have 2 goalies on the bench. We're going to have Fabianski or Ariel on goal, the other one on the bench with Darren Randolph. We might as well just declare Randolph as an outfielder for this season, I think. Michael saying Fabrizio's just said in the in advanced talks, and Fiorentina have lined up the replacement from Schalke. That's Nastatic, I think his name is, him. But I did see the Fiorentina thing. What I found was interesting was some of the reports in Italy was suggesting that. Sorry about that. I do think I've seen some of the reports in Italy suggesting that we are offering Fiorentina 2 million more in order for them to get the agent thing over the line. Which, if true, I'm not saying it is, but if true, that would imply the hold-up is between Fiorentina and the agent rather than West Ham and the agent, if you know what I mean. So I don't like to say that because it sort of lets West Ham off a little bit, and it's not really a popular thing to do, but I just thought it was interesting. And while you might not believe the Italian press, I will suggest the Italian press has always been ahead of the English press on this Milenkovic deal. While it comes from Italy and then almost gets like verified once it reaches our sort of social media, so on and so forth. Anyway, David says that TDD is likely transfer deadline day is likely to be manic this time. So many clubs hoping for last minute bargains due to lack of funds. Only Villa have spent, but that's because they sold Grealish. Southampton have got a bit of money to spend as well. I know they signed Armstrong, but they've still got a bit of cash there to spend. Leicester are obviously spending on a centre-back, which would give Southampton even more money. They need a centre-back. And this is where it gets a bit stupid, because a month ago, we needed a centre-back, and only we needed a centre-back. Arguably, Villa didn't need one. They've gone and got one in Axel Tuanzebe, who would have been a really good addition for our squad. Villa have gone and got one. But back then, Leicester didn't need one. They've then gone and got one. Not that Vestergaard was ever our target, but they've gone and got one. But now Southampton need one. Southampton have now got 15 million and need a centre-back. They're direct competitors with us. I would not be surprised if Southampton have seen what we're doing with Milenkovic and thought, well, he's only 15 million. We've got 15 million. We'll go agree a deal with him. We'll go get Milenkovic now. Thanks for doing all the sort of legwork, West Ham. We now know the player wants to come to England. We now know Fiorentina's willing to sell for 15 million. We need a centre-back. And this is where it gets a little bit dangerous now, because us and Southampton will target very similar centre-backs. And what was a one-horse race, it's now a 2-horse race a little bit. And it's because we've taken our time, really. We've allowed another team to come in and try and get it over. James is saying, do I believe often what's more inquired? Not really, but like I said, James, I do think the Italian press have been correct so far with this Milenkovic stuff, and that's what they're suggesting, not our side. Michael asking if I'm positive about Milenkovic. I am still positive. I find it hard to believe that like an agent fee would stop the signing. Do you know what I mean? If your manager, right, wants a player, if Dave Moyes has said that's the centre-back I want, you've agreed the deal with Fiorentina, which will have taken a while. You've agreed personal terms with the player, which will have also taken a while. If you've done everything, then it gets to the final stage and there's a bit of an issue with the agent fee. For it to be an issue, it must be an excessive amount of money. It must be millions that this agent wanted. I struggle to believe that we would let the transfer fall down over £250,000, for example. What we think is fair to the agent, what the agent wants is £250,000. I struggle to believe that we would allow the whole transfer just to collapse like that. So it'd have to be an excessive amount of money. And then the question comes, and the question is then, how much money is too much? How much money stops you getting the centre-back that your manager wants? And I've always struggled, and I know it's not my money, I know we don't have unlimited funds, but I've always struggled putting a price on what I call the perfect player. Now, of course, we're now assuming Milenkovic is David Moyes' number one target and the perfect player for David Moyes, but that's who Moyes wants. Is an additional $2 million worth not getting your manager's number one target? And I don't think it is. I think I would rather have Moyes' number one centre-back and no cover for centre midfield than getting Moyes' third choice centre-back and getting a loan deal into cover centre midfield. I think I'd rather do that because you know he's going to start. You know he's going to go into the starting 11. And I don't know. I think the Milenkovic thing will happen. I do think it. If Paul's saying that apparently his agent wants $5 million, I mean, that is an excessive amount of money. But then if his agent wanted $2 million, would you do the deal? Let's say we would. Okay, so $3 million is what we're going to call it quits on. We're saying, Moyes, sorry, you're not getting your player because of $3 million. You know, apparently we're bidding $25 million for Zuma or something like that. But do you know what I mean? I find the fee for Milenkovic quite low anyway, $15 million. I find that quite low. So another $5 million is 20, and I think that's still a relatively decent fee for the player. So anyway. Right, let's keep your comments coming in. Anthos is just saying that we've got a team but not a squad. I agree with that. I do think we need more players to come in there. Mark is saying the fact that we're several positions of need shows just how poorly we have been managed over the past few years. Can't disagree. Connor saying if it's true that Abraham is offered to Roma for $34 million in Moyes' number one target, why don't we make a bid? I think it's because I don't think we've got much more than $40 million, if anything. I mean, let's just say $40 million. If we've got a budget of $40 million for the summer, you're spending 34 on your striker, you've not got much money left, have you? You're not getting Milenkovic. You're essentially getting in 2 loan deals for that $6 million you've got left. You're getting in a couple of loans, and that's about it. So I think it's just too much percentage of the budget. I'd imagine if Moyes had a £100 million budget, he'd go get Tammy Abraham, but he doesn't. So I think that's probably why. So Adam's just throwing a bit of context. Italian media reckons 1 million, not 5 million. See, if it's $1 million, I'd be fuming if we've missed out on Moyes' target over £1 million. Remember the Bayern Munich, and I'm aware it's Bayern Munich. Remember the Bayern Munich director or something. It's the thing. I don't know the quote example. You can Google it afterwards. But he basically said when it comes to doing a transfer for season tickets, he got asked about why season tickets are so cheap for Bayern Munich, and he basically said, "I've gone into meetings to discuss a transfer of a player, and we chuck 5 million at it in the space of half an hour, have a cigar and leave." He says, so we're willing to throw away 5 million just like that. Why would we then take the money off the fans kind of thing? And this is where I struggle with it. You know, with the greatest respect, Karen Brady gets paid more than $1 million a year. Arguably, if we're not doing a very good job, yet for 1 million, we're going to miss out on one of David Moyes' primary targets. You could probably recoup that 1 million by selling Zonde Silva or something like that. You've probably saved that million actually by in Felipe Anderson's wages for the year. Forget any transfer fee Lazio may or may not have paid, just his wages. He's on $100,000 a week. That's 5 million a year. We've saved that in Felipe Anderson's wages. This is where I struggle. If it is something like that, this is where I really, really struggle that we will miss out on Moyes' target for a fee that's quite small, isn't it? In the whole thing. Good to hear an unbiased opinion on David Moyes. I think that's David Moyes. Thank you. It's not always popular because I feel that, I'll be honest, I feel David Moyes gets off with it a little bit in the transfer market because David Sullivan is so hated. I think it protects David Moyes, which is ironic because I've always felt David Sullivan tries to use the managers as a human shield sometimes, and certain websites will produce articles blaming David Moyes for stuff. And I expect as the transfer window comes to an end, if we haven't done any additional business, there will very much be a narrative pushed that David Moyes has got 40, 50 million to spend. He just doesn't want to spend it. He's not found anyone he wants, kind of thing. And I think that is what will come out. But I do think Moyes gets off with it a little bit. He's got a history of this. This is not new for David Moyes. Connor saying, what do you think of the Pie Capital second bid? Do you know something? It's only like 2 weeks in. I'm almost fed up of the Pie Capital stuff. I'm almost fed up. I was saying to Gonzo a couple of days ago, this week I'm not doing a transfer rumour show. I know I did the Milenkovic video, but a pink book video. Where's the pink book? Here it is. The pink. I'm not done one of these ones, right? I've not done one of these books for a week or so because the season's a way to start, and I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited to watch West Ham and the transfer rumour stuff. I feel like I'm repeating everything. It's just an update on Tammy Abraham, an update on Milenkovic, an update of this and that. I've just got a bit fed up, so I've parked it a little bit, and I've tried to stay away from it. And it's difficult because if I was to do, Charlie did a rumour show last night, 6,000 views, great. You know, I did a video 2 days ago about how excited I was about Ben Rama. Now it gets less views, and that's just the way YouTube works. It's just sort of, you've almost got to play the algorithm a little bit. And sometimes you've got to do videos you don't really want to do, but it gets the views. But the videos you do want to do doesn't get the views. It's like the stats stuff. I really like my stats video that I do with Charlie. They just never get as good views, but they're probably my favourite pieces to produce. They take the longest because we do the research, script it. Charlie does all the graphics and stuff. So all in all, it probably takes about 12 hours work for a 10-minute video and doesn't get that much views. Yeah, you can sit down and talk about transfer rumours for 10 minutes. It takes you 10 minutes to do. You get more views. But anyway, Pie Capital is becoming transfer rumours for me. I've almost got fed up already with them. I don't know. I seen the comments yesterday, Connor, and I read them, and I almost just dismissed it. I thought, of course you did, mate. I don't know. I'm still remaining on the fence. I will continue to read everything they produce, continue to listen to everything, but I don't see it going anywhere. I think it's almost too noisy for my liking, and the stuff I read, it doesn't come across as very like professional to some extent. I don't know. It's difficult, and I've reached out to Pie Capital myself because I'm not gonna lie, getting someone on for an interview and a chat with them, of course I would love to. I've reached out to another couple of people, and there's something in the pipeline I'll hopefully do, but I'm just a bit suspicious of it, and I don't know, I just got a bit fed up of it, kind of thing. It just happens now and again, doesn't it? But tomorrow we'll have the match preview for the Newcastle game, which I'm looking forward to doing. It's been a while since I've done a match preview. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Irish Tom is saying that Sullivan's taking joy at the transfer window for him. It used to be exciting, but now it's nothing but frustration and annoyance. I think there's a correlation there, though, Tommy, between the transfer window and social media. I think as social media has got more and more prominent in people's lives, the excitement for things like this has gone down. I think it's just the way of the world these days. Like I said, I'm aware this channel, West Ham Fan TV, we don't help by talking about the rumours or whatever like that. We are also part of the transfer rumours over the summer. But it's evolution, if you want to call it, like something like that. Anyway. Mark, a day in the life of Gio, from square sausage to the queue at the post office, a romantic minute. People don't know what that means. That's a patron reference, that, because we did a show the other day with the patrons. It was quite interesting. Good show. And Rich, I think you're bang on here. Prospect to sign Lingard, delaying other signings. I think you're bang on. The frustrating thing is, my theory was that Jesse Lingard, Man United have got 3 games before the transfer window shuts, right? Man United have got 3 games. And I thought Jesse would wait and see. Or Man United would wait and see with Jesse if he gets into the squad or not. Not start him. If he gets onto the bench, gets onto the pitch. And if he's not in any of those 3 squads, I think that would say to Jesse, go. Just go. Rashford's out. Sancho's not settled in yet, but you're still not getting a game. You need to go. But Jesse's got COVID at the minute, so that's him out the first game. So that sort of takes it away. But there's still 2 games. There's still 2 games to go where Jesse Lingard can wait and see if he's in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans. However, I think Ole's been given a bit of an out here with Jesse getting COVID. all they can now say to Jesse for the second game, let's say Man United win their first game of the season. Leeds, they're playing Leeds. Man United playing Leeds. Say Man United win Leeds, as they probably should. You can say to Jesse for match day 2, I've got an unchanged team. They've done the business on match day 1. Oh, you would have been involved, Jesse, but you had COVID, so you couldn't be. By the time match day 4 and 5 comes around, when Jesse thinks, I'm not in the bloody team here, Windows shut. As I understand it with Jesse, this is what I believe is true. Man, you just aren't in a hurry. Man, you're not in a hurry with Jesse Lingard because they believe that come the 28th of August, the 29th of August, if they decide they want to sell Jesse Lingard, they can have him sold by the end of the window because they don't need to hurry up with him. West Ham with Felipe Anderson, Andre Yarmolenko, when we want to get rid of them, we have to try at the start of the window, trying to get someone to buy them because the demand is so small. You're almost paying someone to take them away. With Jesse, Man U announced Jesse Lingard was for sale. There'll be 3-4 clubs putting in a bid immediately, saying we'll have him. Done. 2 days later, he's at a new club. And that's the downfall of it. I believe, actually, that West Ham do still want Jesse Lingard, and David Sullivan's essentially been ignored a little bit. I say ignored. I can't remember the phrase used, but it was basically like Man United know West Ham are there. Man U would choose to sell Jesse Lingard. They know West Ham are there, but they haven't decided. So West Ham don't really have an answer as such kind of thing. I think this is the problem with that. I think Moyes would obviously prefer to have Lingard there. And Lingard, while he's not available, he's not unavailable. Do you know what I mean? He's not for sale. He's just not for sale either. He's in the middle. He's in the lurch. I feel a bit sorry for him because he's a Man United fan. He's been there for 21 years. He's not going to want to leave, is he? Why would he want to leave Man U? But at the same time, he's got to want to play football. It's a difficult decision for Jesse. It's difficult for Man United too. But the other thing is, while Jesse's only got a year to go in his contract, come the end of October, Man United think, we're not using Jesse. Let's sell him in January. Well, he's only got 6 months to go. They can still get 10 million for him. Someone will still pay 10 million for Jesse Lingard on the 1st of January because of his form at West Ham last season. This is where we become a victim of our own success with Jesse Lingard, essentially. It's almost like he's too good. If Jesse scored 5 goals instead of 9, if he put in 3 man-of-match performances instead of 6 or whatever he did, I think we'd probably sign him. I think you'd think, he's not good enough for us. You can have him for 10, 15 million, we'll cash in. But because he was that good, I think Man United think he can still do a job for us. Because he was that good, his value's a little bit higher, so on and so forth. And I just think it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. We need to be decisive, though, which is we needed a deadline for Jesse Lingard, and I think that deadline should have passed by now, which is come the 5th of August or something. If we've not got Jesse, we move on, and we make it clear to Man United, here's your bid. That's what we're bidding for Jesse. The offer is there until the 5th of August. Should we not have a yes, we don't want him, we will move on. And if you do decide to sell him, forget us, we've got someone else kind of thing. But we haven't. We've sat there just waiting for Man United, just waiting. And all this window, when I come into this window as a West Ham fan and as a Premier League fan, I hoped Aston Villa would keep Jack Grealish. I hope Leeds United would keep Callum Phillips, and I hope West Ham would keep Declan Rice. I was hoping those 3 clubs would hold on to those 3 players. I didn't want to see any of them be bullied by one of the European Super League 6. Villa have with Jack Grealish, and obviously Leeds have him with Callum Phillips, and we have him with Declan Rice. But we have, I can't help but feel we've been bullied by Man United over Jesse Lingard a little bit. I do feel that we've played up to the big boy. We've allowed them to be the bigger club, which they are, but I just think I think we've been we're kept dangling by Man U. They've said, West Ham, you can just wait there. We'll deal with you when we can be bothered. And they've just not really been arsed yet. They haven't cut us loose and they've not pulled us in or whatever. We're just waiting. So anyway, saying that, if we sign Jesse Lingard with a week to go the window, I'll be the first one doing a video celebrating it, saying that this is a fantastic signing. I still hope he comes back anyway, Jesse. I really, really do. Anyway, I'm going to start disappearing. Right, 2 more questions. I've seen them. If you've got any questions that put them in because I've seen plenty and I've missed them. Any comments, get them up as well. Eddie saying first choice, second and third, we need a striker. Lewis said he was looking forward to seeing so much. Now he's worried. We all know Antonio will pull his hamstring 3 games in. We'll have to put square pegs in round holes. Tell you what, it's time to pray, right? It's time to pray now that Mikel Antonio does not represent Jamaica, because he sort of rumours where he's switching his allegiance to Jamaica in order to get a form of international football before he retires. Jamaica have got a lot of games this side of Christmas. Jamaica's got a lot of games. And the last thing I want, last time I see Mikel Antonio flying to the other side of the world to play for Jamaica and then come back to West Ham. We've already got too much football for Mikel Antonio and his hamstrings without it. I get it. Why he would want to do it, completely get it. Because I can't sit here and say that I think playing in the World Cup is the pinnacle of a footballer's career and then sit here and dismiss international football because it's Jamaica. No, I completely get it. And congratulations to him if he does go and represent it. It's not on Mikel Antonio. This should be where West Ham have adequate cover so Antonio can go play for Jamaica and we don't worry about it. But we will. I almost want to see West Ham offer him some sort of financial package that stops it and basically says, here's an extra 10 grand a week if you retire from international football. Just don't play international football. So I'm going to be panicking when Jamaica announces their next squad in case he's in it. Right, just quickly, Mitchell, I hope you're doing well, mate. Really hope you're doing well. Was Pereira interested to try and call United? But I don't think we wanted him. I think Gonzo's right. I think the fans wanted Pereira so much. We almost believed that we wanted him. And Moyes never wanted Mateus Pereira. At the start, I struggled to understand why I looked at Pereira and I thought, that is not a David Moyes player. That is not a David Moyes. But I sort of come around to it and thinking, actually, maybe he is a David Moyes player, you know. But we believe there was only one Premier League club in for Pereira, and that was Everton. Kier, Areola, Fabianski, ending the season with number 1, Areola. Every day of the week, Areola. The King, what's a good transfer window? Names, etc. Jesse, Milenkovic, and a striker. My number 1 striker has always been Tammy Abraham, but I don't think you can have Tammy, Jesse, and Milenkovic. I think that's unrealistic in terms of the figures. So I think Milenkovic, and I'm signing Jesse Lingard for, say, 20 million. Doesn't give you much left. But definitely a striker, Origi. I like Origi. I think he'll be a good player. Like I said, I don't think he'll be a top player for us. I know he's not the most popular player, and a lot of people don't want Origi, but I think he'd be all right. I do think he would be okay, though. I like this. Jamaica, I know she left on her own accord. I like that. That's good. That's a good one. Dean, I'm looking forward to the usual suspects. Talents Guy Cahill is fantastic business and summer budget will not be spent until January. I think they've gone too far now, Dean. I think if they tried this, and to be fair, it's not washed for quite a while now already, even in January, we've got 20 million, we're going to save for summer. I think it was met with a lot of skepticism anyway. A lot of fans went, will it really? We'll see. If they tried this again, I do think it'd be too far because Hammers United are leafleting at the Leicester game about a protest in a few weeks. There's another protest in a few weeks. And while Hammers United will put the boots on the ground and try and generate the interest for this protest, if West Ham tries something like that, I think that would be the best PR possible for the protest. West Ham would generate the best PR possible to get people to that protest. And this is where I think actually the protest being once the transfer window shuts is clever. It is clever, I think, because I think football fans, everything's fickle, everything's short-term in football. Form is short-term. Managers' tenures are short-term. Everything now is small, and I think if you have a crap transfer window and then protest, I think the momentum for that protest would be larger than it would if, say, for example, we did sign Milenkovic, Jesse Lingard, and Tammy Abraham. I'm not sure they'd get as big numbers. So West Ham they're on thin ice at the minute. Like I said, a lot of people want them gone. Most people want them gone, but they can generate momentum to some extent for the next protest kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. Massive thank you to everybody for joining me, whether you're watching it live or you're watching on playback. You could drop a like on the video. that would be much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. Myself and Gons will be back tomorrow, Friday, doing the preview of Newcastle against West Ham. Really looking forward to that. If you can, check out our Patreon below at patreon.com/HammersChat, and also our new online store. The t-shirt's not in there yet, but it will be coming very, very soon. But you can sign up to it for free so you get notifications and stuff. That would be brilliant. But anyway, everybody for commenting, thank you. Really appreciate it. And I shall see you tomorrow. Catch you in a bit.